Hey guys, Emil here with SOULFORGE, and I'm back with another video, and I just had to make this video today just to kind of comment on all this violence that's been coming out of the left over the past few days following Trump's inauguration. You know, the God Emperor has risen, but a lot of people are not very happy about it, and they're showing it. But my problem isn't that they're showing it. Of course, speaking and out against Trump is completely within somebody's free speech. You know, if Trump messes up or does things against his campaign, I'll be the first to hold his feet to the fire, as many have said. And that's not what the kind of protests that I have issue with. The issue that I have is these people, as I'm sure many of you have seen, and if you haven't, look it up on YouTube. Look up DC protests, and it'll come up with these groups of basically anarchist or communist people, where they're wearing all black, they're wearing masks, a lot of them, and they're out there rather than having an organized ideology that they're trying to put forward or some kind of message that they're trying to spread. They just march, or rather mob the streets, and with pitchforks sometimes. Well, not exactly pitchforks, but they do have lots of weapons, and they're just destroying windows. They destroyed like a Starbucks windows. They did tons of damage, flipped a police car, lit it on fire. They're throwing bricks at police officers. Several police officers got hospitalized. And it really starts to beg the question, of course, what are you trying to achieve with this? And the answer, of course, also comes readily, is nothing. They aren't trying to. If they're trying to go about impacting change by destroying things and attacking police officers that have nothing to do with Trump's inauguration, then clearly they aren't doing this out of an ideological perspective. Rather, it's emotion that hasn't been really doesn't have any grounding in any kind of logic or fact, because of this kind of emotional, visceral response that we're seeing, and violent response. It could be also concluded that if they had the arguments in hand, then they would say them, right? If they knew what their problems were ideologically and logically, had been able to explain why they don't like Trump and use examples, concrete examples, news stories, all the works, right? You could build a case against Trump, and I definitely, Trump isn't infallible. Like, he definitely has lots of problems. Now, I don't think he's a fascist or that the election results were wrong like these people do, and they're totally fine to think that, but if they really, the issue that I see is that if you take any of these people, aside and ask them a question of, like, what is fascism, for instance, they wouldn't know. They don't know, and you see this with interviewers all the time, and a lot of uncut footage of people going and journalists like the Rebel Media, for instance, with Lauren Southern, who went and was asking people on the street, and they never know. Gavin's asked people too, protesters outside of Trump rallies, for instance, why are you doing this, and what did Trump say? And they never know any specifics. They never know any of the history. They never know what terms mean, like fascist. They don't even know what that means. Like, but it's in their chant. It's in the no KKK, no fascist USA, that whole one. Oh my God, that's so dumb. But yeah, a lot of these people don't even know what fascism is, and it's it's really, I mean, it's horrible. It's terrifying. I'm kind of laughing, but that's laughing to kind of ease this tension that I'm feeling, because you have this group of people that are able and willing to be violent over things that they don't even know. And a channel that I've been watching recently, Alt Western, described this as a temper tantrum, and I've heard this before used on the right towards these kind of this segment of the left that gets so violent. And it really is. They don't know how just like a child. They don't know how to express themselves, and so they have to express themselves using violence and just yelling, and like there's nothing productive about it, and you're not getting any message across. And honestly, all it's doing is polarizing people against the left. And it's in the same way the Black Lives Matter protests when they were looting, where those all those black communities for BLM were just damaging their cities and burning them down, and with each respective shooting of a black guy by a police officer. They just started destroying their own city for no reason, and it didn't make anyone come towards them. In fact, what I've noticed on YouTube recently, and just across kind of it will okay, so it's given a voice to real racists. It's given a voice, and I think it's made a lot more white people be a lot more polarized in their opinions against blacks, because now they're seeing on the news these people who they already maybe are racist, and kind of try to judge collectively, are fulfilling their case. You know, these racists might say, okay, well, all black people are animals or something, and then you see these Black Lives Matter protesters go and burn shit down for no reason and attack white people who are just walking on the street, or there's basically so many of these protests are doing incredible damage for their side, and it is in fact allowing for the kind of the worst segments of the right are also responding in kind. And what my worry is that if we don't stem this kind of violence on violence, and I saw as well the other day, Gavin McGinnis had punched someone, and the person was, I heard his argument on why he punched someone outside of the deplorable. He was getting in the way, trying to ruin their time, but that still doesn't give you the right to punch someone. And you know that the leftists will cherry pick and show Gavin's kind of display where he went and punched this dude, and kind of blanketly display all of the right as being that, right? And because and we know they do it, the left is never honest about how they display information, even if it was just an isolated case. But the point is, we can't give them that isolated case. That's why that frustrated me, even though, I do love Gavin, and he's a crazy motherfucker. But yeah, he should not have done that, in my opinion. But yeah, I just really, honestly, the biggest problem that I see is an escalation of the tension and the violence between both sides, and it does seem to be continually going higher and higher, and I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, there's a squirrel outside my window, but he's got a slice of pizza. Holy crap. Let's see if this will focus. Anyway, I don't know how he got that. Wasn't expecting to swivel my webcam around in this video, but anyway, yeah, so what was I talking about? So, and now my shit won't focus. Okay, so I was saying that, yeah, I'm really worried that the tension will escalate to kind of a crescendo of violence and tension, and it could really be one of those things where, the left is very afraid right now. They're very afraid of Trump. I think unfounded. They have a lot of unfounded reasons to be so afraid, but they've been manipulated by the mainstream media and celebrities, and so now they're very, very terrified. And being terrified means that, and the fact that they don't trust the system anymore in electing not Trump. They basically have allowed their fear to cloud their judgment of the system, and now they are very, very afraid that Trump is going to do all these horrible things. You combine that fear, that's why they're so violent, one. Two, because they don't have arguments, like I mentioned before. But they, the response of the right will be a pushback, right? They're also going to be violent back, because at a certain point when push comes to shove, you can kind of like try to talk to someone and use peaceful solutions. But if somebody's punching you in the face, you're going to defend yourself, and it can only start, people will start getting defensive on both sides, and it's only going to get worse and worse, in my opinion. So I really urge everyone watching, if you have a tendency to kind of react violently, take a step back and try to take the higher road. I know the Hillary thing, they go low, we go high. We need to actually take the higher road for everybody involved, because at the end of the day, we are one country, and half of our country right now, and I'm speaking to people on the right now, I guess everybody, half of our country is split, but we're not going to have a war. We're not going to secede. We're not going to, I mean, we could. That's the worst case scenario. We don't want a war. We want to live together and prosper together. And we are all on the same side. We all live together with leftists. You might have good friends that are on the other side of the political spectrum and completely disagree with you, but we need to be able to speak, and we need to be able to communicate peacefully. And if you can spread that value of being able to communicate and debate fairly without attacking each other and without getting violent, then spread that value as much as you can. I really, really needed to make this video, because I'm so worried about it. And there seem to be a lot of different forces at play right now, where it could very well end up somewhere we don't want it to be, in terms of violence, in terms of war, in terms of kind of just racially motivated attacks on both sides. I'm very worried. But I think that we can push forward, and Trump will dictate a lot of his attitude towards communicating, and how he kind of helps alleviate some of the stresses that some of these people have, is going to make a big impact on whether or not we're going to have a big problem on our hands. So I really hope he makes the right decision in that as well. And yeah, tell me, guys, what you think. What kind of the dangers are in terms of war and those kinds of racial attacks, and more what you guys kind of predict in terms of racial violence. Any ideas you guys might think to combat that, and kind of reach across the side to be able to communicate to these people, a lot of these leftists, of course, they're just, I feel bad for them, honestly. Like they're so brainwashed that it's, I still give them full moral responsibility for their actions, but at the same time, I feel bad. I know I used to be a leftist, so I know kind of what the education system can do to you, and so I don't hate these people. I just want to be able to communicate with them, and help them recognize that I'm trying to help them as well. I'm trying to help everyone. And so. Yeah, I know I rambled a lot in this video. I bet nobody's gonna watch this, because I just kind of prattled on. Maybe I'm too hard on myself. That's why I have trouble making videos. I'm always overanalyzing what the heck I'm talking about, and then yeah. Anyway, yeah. So follow me on social media. I have a Gab account. I'm gonna have in the description. It's Gab AI. At SOULFORGE is my username, and what else do I have? Yeah, on Twitter, and on Twitter I'm Thought Anarchy, and yeah, tell me, guys, what you think below. Any discussion is welcome, and I'm gonna be replying to comments and stuff. And yeah, hope you guys have a great day. SOULFORGE out. Peace.